Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Friday the 13th of September comes to you from London. So Friday the 13th, unlucky for some. Let's hope it's a good day in the markets. We're seeing the dollar actually, it surged yesterday and then just fell straight back. So we had this interesting reaction, but we are still holding on to the bullish, and we've got these upside targets here still. The euro yesterday, the ECB lowered rates further. We saw a lot of volatility in the euro yesterday, but it has put it actually back above the dollar on the short-term chart. But we still do have these downside targets and the downtrend here as well. Dollar against the yen is down slightly, but holding on to its bullish trend. It's really been marching up the hill on the short-term chart. The medium-term chart just starting to show some signs that we might get a bullish cross on the daily. Sterling is sitting at 2-month high. It's the highest we've seen since July, so it's actually pushing higher above that 124 level this morning. So that's pretty key. And looking more bullish on the short-term chart with an upside target now of 130. Sterling has obviously been pretty volatile with Brexit and bearish on all scenarios, but there's a little bit of a relief rally going on there. And looking at sterling against the euro, we're not looking as strong, but we're still just holding on to that medium-term position on the chart where we're starting to wander through. And it's interesting, sterling has come right off its lows that we saw several weeks back. Looking at against the Swiss franc, we're sitting at 122. So again, just holding its situation there as well. Against the Bitcoin, we're sitting at $10,300, still bearish on the short-term chart. The S&P 500 index last night edged higher, so we are looking like we're on set to make new highs quite soon on the US market. Same with the NASDAQ, pushing higher. So looking strong overnight. The Dow not as strong, but it's still looking pretty good. And again, not far now to make new highs. And the Russell 2000 index, much the same picture. The recovery now looking quite good there. We've had a very strong week for the Russell, and we're seeing now moves towards bullish on the chart there. The futures this morning, the S&P futures up just under 0.2%. The Nasdaq E-mini up by exactly the same amount. Does look like the US market will open slightly higher. FTSE 100 index this morning is down, of course, very heavily sterling laden. So strong sterling tends to be bad for about 2/3 of the companies in the FTSE 100. And we look at the midcaps, we're just edging higher here. Nice trend really over the last several weeks for midcaps, looking very strong. And looking at the DAX, we're just flat this morning. CAC Quarant also lower, but the CAC is actually one of the few indices making new highs here, just starting to look pretty strong. It's always looked a little bit stronger than the German index, and that's continuing. The Japanese market was up 1% overnight, so that's looking pretty strong. Medium-term chart has really surged the last few trading sessions, and the Hang Seng also looking stronger as well. And China was up 0.75% on the Shanghai, so looking pretty good there. Looking like we're going to see recoveries in the medium and long-term charts. The Aussie market was down slightly, but medium term just holding bearish, but the long-term chart is one of the few long-term charts that's actually held its pretty clear bullish position for a while. So the Sensex, the Aussie market continuing to look pretty strong there as well. Brent crude is down. It went below $60 yesterday, and we are still sitting in bearish territory, even though we're back above the $60 mark. Bearish on all three time frames. WCI, similar picture, of course, bearish on all three time frames. US NatGas holding steady at $2.57. So the surge that we've seen in the last week or two is holding good. Gold holding the $1,500 mark just, but that's not enough to really surge ahead. We're just on the chart here, just on this cusp of crossing into bullish territory there for gold, but it's certainly looking better at the end of the week than it was. Strong dollar not helping. And if we look at silver, also we're seeing there A little bit of weakness there as well, but still teetering along the bottom. US 10-year yields, we're seeing here, we're looking strong here as well. Yields recovering, and German bonds sitting at 1.8% on the 10-year yield. German bonds, that sell-off continues. ECB yesterday we saw a little bit of volatility there, and then the sell-off to new lows on the bond price. So looking a bit worrying there. Taking a look at the stocks now, if we look at the individual stocks, this data all coming from Yahoo Finance. So we start by looking at Visa. They were the strongest performer in the Dow last night. That trend looking really good. Though their performance on the Dow actually has been as high as 20% higher. Looking at the downside, we had Walgreen Boots. They're down 4%. But the recovery, interestingly, looking relatively good on that medium-term chart. They have underperformed the relative, nearly 30% down on the Dow this year. The NASDAQ 100, the best performing stocks, we had Illumina, PayPal. Lumina's up 7%, although they've seen a big sell-off in recent weeks, and PayPal was up 3%. So not enough to change the fact that we are going through this trend here. Looking at the downside, we had Walgreen Boots in the NASDAQ 100, of course, as well, and we had Cryptcom. They were also lower, down 3.5%. Looking at the Aussie market, the best performer was Infingen. They were up 4.6%. Making a long-term recovery there. That stock looking really good. A little bit of a shortage of upside targets. We have outperformed the Dow by 30% this year. It's been quite a volatile stock. Qantas actually showing through there, up 2%. So that chart looking a little bit better as well. And if we go to the downside, we've got Sierra Resources down 6%. Their woes continue. Looking at the Nifty, the Indian market, we've got Indiabulls Housing. They're up 3.6%. Not enough to really change things there. The chart looking pretty dire. And Gale India Limited, they were down 4%. That sell-off continues as well. India really starting to not look the market it was, with quite a lot of stocks looking quite worrying. In the UK market now, we've got Pearson's. They're the best performer this morning. They're up 2.4%. The chart does look a little bit worrying though. There's volatility there, underperforming the Dow Jones by more than 20% this year, so that's significant. Carnival were the best performer, second best performer, up 2%, and Lloyds Bank up 1.8%. Carnival's chart looking grim, so is Lloyds Bank, so the charts here are still not looking great individually. Compass Group down 2%, although the chart actually looking good. So we're seeing here the worst performers today tend to be the best looking charts, and Rolks Group similarly up down 1.6%, but the chart holding on. There we see the live prices coming in from Yahoo Finance. Taking a look at the 250 now, we've got RHA Manchester there up 3.5%. That chart still looking worrying on the medium term, and Amigo Holdings actually hitting new lows, even though the chart's up. The price is up this morning, the chart looks terrible. IMI PLC, they're down 5.7%, and Viva Energy down 4.3%. Looking at the European stocks now, just the Euro Stoxx 50, Adidas the best performer this morning. They're up 1.9%, nearly 2%. That chart continuing to look good. SocGen also looking good there, up 1.9%. On the downside, we've got InBev, the brewer, the Belgian brewer. They were one of the best performers yesterday. Now looking not so good this morning. Enel in Italy down 1%, although the chart looking pretty good. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then. Bye for now.